Mirthwood is a new medieval cozy game where you settle a new homestead, living a life of farming, trading, and exploring. And it is the sponsor of today's video. From the outside, Mirthwood seems like every other farm sim out there, but this game is way different than the cozy games that you're used to. Sure, it has the villagers and the farming of the Starduvania games that we love, but it takes the concepts of farm sims and expands them on each and every single aspect. Even the farming. You want more freedom of where you hoe the ground? You got it. No more relying on an invisible grid telling you where you can plant. This game lets you throw these plots of dirt down wherever you see fit. That's just one example of how Mirthwood changes up these mechanics that we're very much used to in the cozy gaming world, including combat. But Cora, combat isn't cozy. Yeah, sure it is. Alright, Stardew has combat, the mines anyway. Animal Crossing has combat, you risk your life every second you play past 7 p.m. Those scorpions and tarantulas are ruthless. If you can survive those, you can survive combat in Mirthwood. That's what I told myself anyway. I wanted to see if I could survive 24 hours in this game, so I set out to do just that. As you explore, it becomes a pick-your-own-adventure style of play. You can pick your class, your strengths, your job, all of it affects the rest of your playthrough. Because I'm out here trying to survive, I picked the fighter class. This way I could give myself a weapon buff. I needed some kind of chance, okay? Each option has its own strength and weakness tied to it. You have a ton of options to decide how you want your game to go. Maybe you don't care about combat at all and would rather concentrate more on the farming and relationship aspects of the game. There is a class for you no matter your playstyle. And this gives you some replayability. Maybe you can come through and change up your strength and weaknesses next time, because we all know we're gonna start multiple save files in this game. On top of all these jobs, as you play, Mirthwood gives you options to improve or hinder your overall reputation in the world. I love when games do this because it actually makes me feel like I have some kind of say in how my game is played. You have the ability to just steal everything from NPCs if you want. You can be good. You can be evil. You can be somewhere in between. Or you can be like me, who sees a prompt next to a coin bag and immediately presses E thinking it's free loot, and then you become a little bit more evil because your reading comprehension is trash and it said steal and not just take or grab or whatever. I see a prompt and I click. I'm a simple woman. Mirthwood has some strong Stardew Valley, RimWorld, Fable vibes, but way cozier, in my opinion. I'm not quite sure what it is, maybe just the atmosphere of the world, but it really scratches that cozy itch. The farming definitely helps, of course. I'm obsessed with the furniture and decoration options too. And the resource gathering. There's something about collecting items through mining, chopping, harvesting, exploring that satisfies something deep within my soul. Maybe it's the productiveness of it all, but it's a nice relaxing break from other high adrenaline games, even though Mirthwood has its moments for sure, and of course an escape from real life. You can do the usual mechanics of crafting and decorating, raising animals, enjoying the farm life, or explore the world and everything Mirthwood has to offer. That decorating? Oh, it's so smooth. You can place items almost anywhere with practically no restrictions. No huge grid that you're shackled to like other games. If you want your campfire, like a little to the left from your crafting table, you can do that. Eventually, once you get enough furniture to really decorate with, you can easily make your plot your own. Surviving 24 hours has never been more efficient. I can have all of my crafting necessities within easy reach. It saves me a lot of headaches of running around my farm trying to find what I need, which is very good seeing as this game is completely open world, and I need all the help I can get. Mirthwood is comprised of 6 diverse regions and 3 different towns, each with a boatload of NPCs to interact with and quests to discover. It's one of the main selling points of this game for me, the exploration. There's so much to look at and do. If you get a little sick of farming or being stuck in one area, you can go literally anywhere else. There's an entire world to see, a bunch of treasure to find. Even stuff that you don't have to feel bad about taking. Not everything is stealing. These trout in town, they're up for grabs, and it doesn't affect your renown or reputation. Which is why I tend to just steal everything on accident. I never know what's actually meant for me and what belongs to someone else. But there is a lot of treasure, especially outside of the towns, that are hidden caches of items, which are incredibly helpful to your gameplay. Finding these items makes exploring the world a heck of a lot more fun. You never know what you'll stumble across, like a wolf who wants to tear you apart from the insides for no reason. Or this thing. What is this thing? There are threats all over the place. It is up to you if you want to risk exploring or stay nice and cozy inside your house. I should have stayed nice and cozy inside my house, but the treasure though. Sometimes the treasure will include rare items, which really makes leaving your house worthwhile. Just make sure you have a sword or a bow equipped to protect you from all the mayhem that's waiting outside your door. Also, you can totally accidentally hit the nice people with your sword, almost unalived this poor guy trying to help him defeat the enemy. The tutorial was trying to show you how to run away from fights that you can't win, but I couldn't just leave him behind. He was getting mauled. And then I almost killed him, and I ended up almost mauling him. So maybe I should have just run away like I was supposed to. I never found out what happens to your renown if you vanquish an innocent life. I'm honestly too much of a goody two-shoes to really find out, but I stole enough items on accident, so I'm kind of a rebel, but I can't really be out here playing with fire. I'm trying to be a nice Mirthwood, employee, resident. Like other farm sims, you will have to pay attention to your energy, but you also have hunger and health meters too. Finally, a game that makes cooking worthwhile. There are very few games where I enjoy the cooking mechanic. It's usually just kind of thrown in there just because. Even in Stardew, I despise the cooking. But Mirthwood, I'm cooking all the time. It's like Breath of the Wild amounts of cooking. Give me all those baked apples. Exploring introduces you to additional items to cook with and more recipes as well. There's a crazy variety of ingredients in this entire world. At the end of the day, this is a survival game, and your hunger is something that you do have to pay attention to. Each area has its own biome, if you will. Different resources can be found in the different regions around the map. Another reason why it's in your best interest to explore the entire world. How are you going to be able to properly decorate your humble abode without the necessary materials, You gotta leave your house at some point, just like real life. That's why they call them life sims. Or maybe it's so that we can live the lives that we don't live in real life in a game. The life sim, the sim of the life that you wish you had. The life sim of an extrovert. Mirthwood really expands on the world by adding in crazy, in-depth marketplace and trading routes. There's a book in town that tells you what resources are selling for high prices, what's in surplus and therefore not selling well. You can even trade with villagers at their respective stores. It's one of those mechanics they didn't have to add to the game, but because they did, it adds a whole new dynamic to your day and how you play. Sometimes it's just the small things like that can just, make the game that much more enjoyable. As you explore Mirthwood, you'll happen across new quest lines as well as a bunch of lore. The story can be found in letters and pieces of parchment that are littered throughout the world. Just another way to interact with the game, the people in it, and of course, more rewards for you risking your neck to discover everything Mirthwood does have to offer. I love that there are so many quests. There's always something to do, and I live for the lore. I want to know everything about this fascinating medieval lives that these people are living. There are so many interesting storylines to discover, and I want to know it all. It's a fantasy world. Come on. It's just so interesting. The NPCs are incredibly entertaining to talk to and watch interact with one another. I'd compare them to the relationships and interactions of The Sims rather than the usual dialogue options that we're used to in games like Animal Crossing or Stardew Valley. Instead of reading their words, you get a peek into their reactions and seeing how your friendship improves or not, depending on which dialogue option you pick. Each villager has their likes and dislikes. It's up to you to figure out what they prefer to talk about, find a romance partner, and get to wooing. Also, like The Sims, you can't just sit there and perform the same social interaction over and over again to gain favor. You gotta change up your strategy. You're not allowed to constantly flirt. No one likes that. Mix in some small talk, some jokes, and then get back to work flirting with your potential future spouse. The villagers feel so alive in Mirthwood. As the player, you can just sit back and watch the NPCs interact with one another. They're incredibly entertaining, and the fact that they live their lives separate from you kind of just adds to the immersion of the game. This fantasy life that truly feels real, a world that you can get lost in. It's rare for a game to have these fake people feel worthwhile. Watching them hate each other is entirely entertaining, and it makes me feel better about messing up conversation with a villager when they also fail at wooing each other. How you choose to live your life in the game affects how some of these NPCs view you and interact with you. If you're stealing a bunch of stuff, probably not going to end up on their nice list at the end of the day. You'll have to work harder to gain their affection, if that's even possible, after taking their grandma's life savings from the table in her basement. The more you level up your relationship, for good or worse, the more dialogue options you'll get to interact with your friends or enemies, I guess. You'll even be able to eventually recruit them as companions and take pets with you on your journey. Totally worth all the effort of making these guys like you. You gotta get something out of being nice to people. Can't just be nice out of the kindness of your heart. Who does that? Every time you complete a task or perform a mechanic, you're leveling up your skills. There are a bunch of skill cards that you unlock as you level up. These allow you to modify your character with more advantages so you can truly be the introvert you've always wanted to be. Or, whatever type of person you prefer playing through this specific playthrough. They remind me of the perk cards that you get in the Fallout games. You can gain skills like finding extra crops when you harvest stuff you've grown, or making crafted items worth more. There are so many skills that you can discover as you play, and it makes each playthrough unique, tailoring your abilities to whatever playstyle you want to do that day. And because we want to survive, I picked every possible skill to give me the live and don't get eaten by a wild animal advantage. Coming into Mirthwood, knowing that this was going to be a somewhat cozy experience, my expectations were real low for how difficult some of these enemies would be. I thought I'd be able to slice them down no problem. I successfully defeated the enemies in the opening tutorial incredibly easily, so the other beings hiding around the world shouldn't be a problem. I stocked up on food, mostly of the baked apple variety, and some health potions, so I was ready for anything. I spent a ton of time exploring, mainly looking for lore, gold, and whatever rare items I could find to help me be a well-rounded, capable individual. I thought maybe if I started a budding relationship with one of the NPCs, I could convince them to become a companion, which is kind of brutal in hindsight, because my plan was definitely to use this person as a shield and just sacrifice them to save my own skin. But that's what you do when you're trying to survive the rough and tumble world for 24 hours. All bets are off. Everyone is out for themselves. Except the companion. They probably feel some sort of loyalty that I have zero plans on reciprocating. I got some food, I got some armor, and a nice sword to do some stabby. I was so excited to explore, find some lore, steal some loot, and live my best medieval life. And then I found this creeper thing and died immediately. I could not survive 24 hours. I swear this thing was like some sort of divine beast. I could not for the life of me destroy it. Should I have just run away? Yeah, probably. Hold shift to sprint. I listened to the tutorial, but I don't like to back down from challenges. Also, I wanted to loot the dead body if it even had loot. I figured it would have some good stuff, but I guess I'll have to wait for another round to find out. There's so much to do in this game made by just 2 people. You can tell that the devs really put their favorite pieces of other games in Mirthwood, but with its own twist. While some things may take longer to implement with such a small team, you avoid a lot of that red tape that comes with huge studios like Nintendo. Sometimes too many hands in the pot isn't a good thing. A small team is one of the reasons why games like Stardew Valley are so successful. You don't have to get anything approved by the powers that be. As a result, we get all these cool mechanics, everything the developers dream up. I haven't felt this way about a game in a long time, and I think that's because other games are doing everything the same. There's nothing that sets these cozy games apart anymore. The mechanics just end up being rehashed versions of each other, but not Mirthwood. Instead of refreshing, they're enhancing. It looks like Mirthwood is a game that is going to have some legs. I can see myself playing this well into next year, especially with all of the content that they have planned for updates in the future. Thank you to the devs for throwing me a key early and letting me experience this world, and thank you for sponsoring this video. Mirthwood is out on Steam now. Grab yourself a sword, and I'll see you out there. Just watch out for these guys. They're, brutal. Have you played Mirthwood, or is it on your Steam wishlist? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Bye!